As the saying goes, no merit is not rewarded. He just rejected Junwei Gao and Fredman. In his opinion, this little thing was completely unworthy of allowing Charlie to give him such a precious magic medicine. But Charlie didn't care. If you want to make this thing himself, he can make thousands of them a day. The main reason why he doesn't make so many is that things are rare and expensive. Therefore, giving one to Tianqi is nothing at all. So he said lightly, "Old Shi, since you want to stay at my side and share the worries for me, you should know that Charlie always rewards his friends, and I think you do well and deserve rewards, then I will naturally reward you. And you don't have to be polite with me. If I reward you, you will accept it." Tianqi was excited with tears, and hurriedly lay his hands on the ground, kowtow, and said, "Thank you, Mr. Wade." "Thank you, Mr. Wade." Jovia hurriedly bowed her head respectfully and said, "Thank you, Mr. Wade." Charlie looked at Jovia, smiled slightly, and said, "Jovia, raise your head." Jovia hurriedly raised her head, looking at Charlie with a flushed face, her eyes a little shy and dodging. Charlie looked at her and smiled slightly. "In the future, when the time is right, I will also give you a magic medicine. By then, you may be able to take your medical skills further." The magic medicine for the elderly is mainly to treat and restore the body function and meridian energy to younger. After young people take it, it can strengthen the body to a great extent, and even greatly enhance the meridians in the body. Traditional medicine values qi the most. It has higher requirements for the internal qi in the body of the doctor. For example, acupuncture and moxibustion. People with insufficient internal qi, even if they know some acupuncture methods, they can't get it out, and it won't be effective. So this is also the fundamental reason why many famous doctors have a strong body. As soon as Jovia heard this, tears flowed out of excitement. Tianqi next to her was also very excited and hurriedly said, "Jovia, don't you give thanks to Mr. Wade?" Jovia came back to her senses, so she leaned over and kowtows, and choked with excitement in her mouth. "Thank you, Mr. Wade." When Charlie was in clinic and gave medicine to Tianqi, Claire just drove to the riverside villa in the suburbs. After she arrived at the gate of the villa area, she called her mother Elaine and said, "Mom, I have already arrived at the riverside villa. Where exactly is your friend?" Elaine was anxiously waiting for Claire in Junwei Gao's villa at this time. After receiving a call, she hurriedly said excitedly, "This is a high-end villa area. The management is very strict. No cars are allowed to enter. You should park your car in the parking lot at the door. Mom will come out to pick you up." "Okay," Claire said, "then I will wait for you at the door." Here, Elaine hung up the phone with excitement, and hurriedly said to Junwei Gao and Junwei Gao's father Jianjun Gao, "Claire is here, I will pick her up." Junwei Gao hurriedly pointed to the heart-shaped roses and candles at the entrance of the gate, and said, "Auntie, don't let go of your mouth. I hope Claire should come in without knowing my existence. Let her enter the door and see this romantic scene." Elaine smiled from ear to ear, and said, "Oh, Junwei, don't worry, I won't let it go." Junwei Gao's father, Jianjun Gao, has not spoken, but looked at Elaine up and down. He felt that although this woman was a little older, she was still very charming, and she was the kind of person who had a better taste among her peers. Looking at Elaine at this time, his gaze was a bit greedy, and he thought to himself, when Claire arrived, he will immediately tie up these girls. When the time comes, he will taste the taste of Elaine. If he has time, he can even try that young and beautiful Claire. Thinking of this, he smiled and said to Elaine, "Oh, Ms. Elaine, if your family can come together with ours, then we will be married in the future too." Elaine looked at Jianjun Gao and nodded repeatedly, and flattered, "Mr. Junwei Gao, it is the first blessing of our family to be able to be with you." Jianjun Gao smiled and said, "Ms. Arima is in the middle of the match. I think the two children will be able to come together." Elaine agreed with him and said, "I have the same views as you." The two children, talented and beautiful, are really perfect match. Don't worry, I will persuade Claire to divorce Charlie Waste. After finishing speaking, she hurriedly said to Junwei Gao, Junwei, don't think that Claire was married, and you have an opinion on her because of the second marriage. In our family, Claire was long married to Charlie's rubbish, but she has guarded her body like jade. Junwei Gao suddenly became excited. Guarded her body like jade? Does Claire still retain her chastity? God! That's awesome! Today, Claire, a famous beauty in Orus Hill, will be captured by him for the first time. Thinking of this, he couldn't help being excited, and wished he could rectify Claire on the spot immediately. Elaine was thinking of petty gains. She couldn't understand the viciousness of Junwei Gao's heart. She didn't even know that the catastrophe was imminent. Instead, she smiled and said, "Oh, I'm going to take it for the first time. You can wait a while." The father and son sent her out, and when they returned to the house, they both had ghosts. Junwei Gao couldn't help saying, "Dad, Claire is still a problem. If you kill her at once, it would be too bad, right?"